The main reason that I find that people don't make money is lack of confidence. You cannot expect the validation from others to give you the momentum if you're not creating the momentum. They might have a lot of passion, but if they actually haven't done the work to feel good in who they are, they're not gonna make money.
How does someone find the right mentor?
If I want to be a mentor, I gotta have a mentor. Is this person living the life they want to live? It's being all in and full present in everything that I do. It's not be half in anything that I do, right? The half in energy is a no-go for me. The biggest issues in relationships are communication.
What's your own personal financial goal, like the ultimate goal?
I'm going for multi-millions.
Welcome to the Creative Grid Podcast. If you're new here, my name is Nelson and I'm a filmmaker that is based in Gold Coast, Australia. And basically, I'm committed to help you become a better version of yourself. The Creative Grid Podcast is here to help creatives find grit to become successful. And we do that helping you in different fields and areas of life, going from not just filmmaking and the craft itself, but finance, business, marketing, relationships, advertisement, negotiation, and much more. And today we have another legend coming to our podcast. I'm very excited for this episode, so I hope you like it. And if you do, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and yeah, that's everything you need to know. Today's guest, she's a modern medicine women and business mentor. Please welcome Mariana Lennert.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it's really an honor to be here. I've seen your work and the quality of your work. It's a privilege.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
We have a lot of friends in common. I have clients that have come through you as well, and I made a video for you in the past. And we have trained jiu-jitsu together too.
Many times.
So I'm very excited to have this conversation. Thank you for making the time to come here. And Mariana, can we start you giving a little description on who you are and what you do for people that don't have any idea?
Of course. So I am Mariana Lennert. I was born in Brazil. Been here for 17 years this year, and I been here for 17, feels like home. I have a beautiful family, 2 kids, and I came from Brazil fresh out of law school. So I finished law, just before going to the corporate and everything. Decided to go away and travel, and came here, and my life just unfolded in such a way that, there was never a way back to go back to the life that I had before. And then after probably 10 years on, changing works and jobs and doing many things that wasn't really in alignment with who I am, got to a point where, feeling the deep depression and anxiety and identity crisis, that I actually had to be honest with myself and go all in the path that was actually my calling. And I feel as well that that's always the biggest fear, is actually being true to what your calling is. So I started on a coaching industry and went really deep into self-development. I have a very close proximity with plant medicine as well. So that has pretty much guided me to where I am today. And today I'm a mentor for women in business, really help women to craft their idea and finding their voice and creating wealth and creating a business that is profitable and sustainable for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. What kind of, first of all, how do you get into coaching? How do you become someone that teaches someone else how to, run a profitable business and become a better version of themselves? How do you even get into that?
Yeah, well, I felt, for me, my personal experience is 2 things. Human has always been my passion. I've always been fascinated with humans, mind and emotion and all the things. In fact, when I was young, I wanted to be a psychologist, but in Brazil, psychologist was not a well-paid work. So my father, told me to do law instead. And I was so young, 16, I say, yes, I'll do law. So eventually, it came around and I found a way to still be in contact with human. And I guess doing coach was for me was just through my self-development, was just through my own, experience from depression and anxiety and taking medication to where I have, found myself to be, years later. And then, following Tony Robbins and, going to UPW and doing all the work, like it sort of triggered that curiosity in you and the fire to actually help others. So yeah, that was my way to coach.
How, when did it click? Like, that's what I want to do. Because I think it's very difficult for people, from my observation, like everyone feels like it's too hard to find your purpose or your passion or whatever you actually want to do, and that's why they stay in the trap on maybe the 9 to 5 that they hate so much, or even the bad relationships. Like, what made it click for you? Like, okay, this is what I want to do and this is how I will do it.
Yeah, for me, I feel that I have so much curiosity. I think that my curiosity is what led me to be in Australia today. My curiosity was what led me to take bold moves in order to actually find other things. And I guess, like, for me was two things. One was my curiosity to know more and like what was possible. And then the other thing was to hit rock bottom. So the only way out was to, come up again. So I guess, life always takes you in a way where you either follow the traits of what's in front of you, or you have to actually, have a hero's journey and something happened to you and you go into the dark night of the soul and then you're right, something has to change. And then you find yourself again. So I had a mix of both. And I guess coaching, I have to be honest that I found a lot of resistance at the beginning to actually, call myself a coach or to be a coach. I feel that is that, especially now that has been so overused and so misplaced in so many ways. And I guess, when you really find your voice and, the way that when you really craft what you're here to do and how you help human to achieve what they're here to achieve, that's when you probably embody that more, the role or the label or whatever that is.
Yeah, okay. And these days, when you help women, do you help men at all?
I help men. Yeah, I help men more in a relationship and personal life, not in business so much. And yeah, but woman in business, and I do a lot of women's empowerment as well. So
Yeah, right. When from your clients, what have you found is like the most common reason of why they're not making money with their business or maybe their passion or that thing that they really want to do? What's the common factor that you have observed?
Oh, I love this question. It's such a great question. So the main reason that I find that people don't make money in their business is for the lack of confidence in who they are and in what they offer. So they might have a lot of ideas, they might have a lot of passion, but if they actually haven't done the work to feel good in who they are and the way that they show up, or in what they offer, they're not gonna make money because there is a misalignment in what I see, but in what I say. You know what I mean? So that energy is felt. So you might believe that you want to make the million, but in fact, you haven't actually felt confident in your body to share that or to sell your offer, or actually not even confident in what you're offering because you haven't seen the results. So, I always believe that it's starting with the little steps, at a time, working on yourself, finding your voice, like crafting that thing really solid. It's what's going to bring you the results.
How did you get started? Because you at a certain point in time you realize like, okay, I want to be a coach, I love self-development, I want to help other people. How did you got started? What did you do?
So I got started, first of all, I got started in the healing space. So I was doing a lot of sound healing, a lot of ceremonies, a lot of cacao ceremonies, and even my retreats. So that was my leading space. And then I decided to expand. So I went into studying coaching and, doing NLP and other types of coaches. And then from that, I think I was, gathering my tools and into my tool belt. And when I felt confident, I'm like, all right, now I can lead people. So I started by leading people into their personal life coaching. And then I felt that, building my business was such a hassle, like was actually really, really hard. As we all know, entrepreneurship is probably the worst medicine journey I ever been. And was when I cracked the code, when I'm like, all right, this is working for me. I actually got it. And then I'm like, all right, I need to teach women this, because I know that I've seen so many talented women with so much to share, but they don't know how to put that into place and to create a business or to, having that, like knowing the steps, what comes after, it's so confusing. So yeah, that's why I decided, through my own experience to go into that.
Did you ended up cracking the code by yourself, or was a specific mentor that changed everything for you? How did it happen?
Yeah, it was a mentor. I always had mentors. I always have mentors in my life. I feel that if I want to be a mentor, I gotta have a mentor, And so yeah, it was first of all having a mentor that didn't help me, that led me to more confusion into my path, because we're just disconnected to her journey and my journey, which I learned so much what not to be and what not to do. Great lessons. And then in finding another mentor right after that, they actually sat down with me and helped me to know my why, simple things by who's your audience, like this is how you talk, this is what you do, all the things. Yeah, that was a life change for me. That's when I made my first high ticket sales, straight away, and things just unfolded from there.
How does someone find the right mentor? Because there's so many people claiming that they can help you become this, become that, make X amount of money. How do you find the right mentor?
That's a great question. Well, for me, how I find, there is a few things that I take in consideration. One is this person living the life they want to live? Do you know what I mean? Is the values in synchronicity with your values? That's the first thing that I have learned. So if the person is actually creating what I'm aiming to, that's my first yes. And then second, like when this person speaks, what I'm seeing from her, does it activate me? Does it feel like, wow, I'm actually really, really inspired to move, Like I like what she say. I like the words that she used. Like, does it talk, it speaks to my soul. And when that is a yes, and then I'm all in, yeah.
Yeah, okay. How much would you say you have spent in coaching, mentoring, like getting all your tools? How much would you say you have spent?
So much money, like over 200K.
Wow. And is that in the span of how long? How many years?
That is in 5 years.
In 5 years.
Yeah, or probably less. But yeah, or if not more. I actually haven't thought about it, but yeah, a lot of money.
Yeah, that's interesting, because like one thing I realized for myself, that I haven't put enough money in my own personal either development or business, mostly business development, I would say. Like I've learned a lot through just doing and failing and learning, and then you're like, oh, okay, so that's not the way that it's done, and then you go again and you fail again, and like paying someone will just accelerate all of that and prevent all that pain for your own journey.
100%. Yeah.
How did it work for you when you started? Okay, this is what I'm doing. You had the coach, the mentor telling you what you were gonna do, and then you start selling your service. How did that go at the beginning? What was your experience like selling for the first time this thing that you wanted to do for such a long time?
Yeah, that's also amazing. So the thing is, when I was selling, I was already previously selling, but I wasn't getting sales in. That's the difference. But when I was clear about who I was talking with, who I was talking to, but also what I was selling became more embodied in me. So it was actually during COVID, and one day I set my mind and I said, you know what, I will reach out for as many people as I can right now in my community and offer them this opportunity to be with me. And I'm not going to attach myself to the end result. Like I'm going to go all in, I'm going to sell. And it was a 10,000 offer. And I'm just going to sell. I'm going to do what I know and just practice. Mm-hmm. And I did that. And I think I had like 20, not 20, I had 15 sales calls. Didn't sell any. Didn't sell any. That's when I had my previous mentor, and then I got this new mentor, and I'm like, all right, this is this is what I'm creating. This is like I had a lot of clarity, and that gave me a different level of confidence and certainty in my body. So when I was, there is a huge difference when you're selling something for someone that will invest a lot of money in you, and you can say with clarity, like, this is what I'm gonna do for you, this is where you're gonna get, this is how we're gonna work together, right? That certainty is felt on the transmission. So yeah, after that I had a call, and she was a yes, I was yes, and that was it. Like 10K done, and I'm like, all right, I cracked, like, that happened, let's go, and yeah.
Yeah. So what's the biggest deal you have had to date?
Well, my biggest month so far has been 40K, 45,000 sale, and I think cash collected is being max of 30K. Yeah.
For a single person?
For a single person has been 18,000.
Yeah. Wow. When did it was like, holy shit? When was that moment? Because I had that moment for myself. When I first sold like my biggest thing, I was like, holy shit, what did just happen? Like, what was that moment for you?
Yeah, I had.
And can you describe it? Like,
yeah,
how do you go?
I had two. One was the 10K, my first 10K that I remember. Like, all right, wow, this is actually working. Is that sensation that, I don't know, it's a mix of like excitement, but like a grounded, you're like, all right, I can do this, like, buckle up, let's go now, like, I'm ready. And then when I had my 45K month, that was huge. It was like, wing, like, it was just like that really amazing momentum, and you're like, wow, like, you just have that. It's like universe heard your prayers, like things are actually working out, and you're like, all right, I'm here, like, I'm here for it, let's go. And yeah, it's really exciting.
How can you build? Because for some people, this will be like mind blowing. They'll be like, "What, 45K? Like doing coaching? How? Like, how do you build that momentum to get to that place?"
So the momentum is built in my in what I teach and what I know is there are a combination of things. So one is, for instance, you only do what you know. Do you know what I mean? Like, you cannot see ahead to what your perception can see and capture that. So if in your world your self-worth is only based in selling 1,500,000 programs, you're not going to be able to sell 3,000, 5,000 on 10 or 10K. So that is the beauty of joining someone, you know what I mean, and having a coach or a mentor or joining a mastermind, because you are, first of all, stretching yourself to a very uncomfortable levels that you don't feel, maybe sometimes you don't feel like you belong, you question things, all of those. But and then the next level conversations start to become normal for you, and you're like, all right, oh wow, she can make 15, I can, why can I, and you're starting to become more normal. So that is the first thing, is like normalize in your world, money and selling and high ticket and abundance in general. And then the second one is choosing that you are the momentum. You are the momentum in your business. When you decide that like, I am the momentum, and I show in the momentum, and I create the vibe that I want people to see and to feel, that is it. You become your work. You become the momentum. Yeah.
That is a very interesting way of putting it. You are being the momentum, because I always say, like, momentum is the most powerful energy you can create for you to achieve the stuff you want, but never thought of seeing it like as myself being the momentum, right? Like that, I really like that.
Yeah, you are the vibe. Like you are the inspiration. It's your duty, it's your responsibility as an entrepreneur to lead yourself to that. Do you know what I mean? So you cannot expect the validation from others to give you the momentum if you're not vibrating in the momentum, if you're not creating the momentum, Yeah.
How can someone start working on their momentum?
So what I would suggest is, first of all, having clarity of where you're going, like what's your end result for this year, and then reverse engineer that. So you get, like, what's your 3 quarters will look like? What are you going to offer? What are you going to do? What are the actions that you're going to take, financially, in all aspects of your life? And then you break into actionable things, like little things, if it's your end result is to lose 20 kilos, or, to have find the life, your soulmate, you break that into small actions. So maybe for you first is to join a gym, is to hire a nutritionist or whatever that is for you. And then after that is to surround yourself, with the right people. Or maybe, sometimes you can afford that to hire a mentor, but YouTube is free, and like go to YouTube and create a playlist that is like, wow, this is my momentum. I'm gonna work on my mindset. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna, do my affirmations. I'm gonna do that, and it's a combination of things, right? Like you going out and walk on the beach every morning creates the momentum for you. You working out creates the moment. Like you gotta know what that is for you. Yeah.
What things create momentum in your life?
Yeah. So for me is this year I have a few things in place, and for me the momentum is created by, I've been talking a lot about that, which is rock solid decisions in every area of my life. So, my family, my kids come first, and then my business and my health, everything like in place. So, it's being all in and full present in everything that I do. That's what creates momentum for me. It's not be half in anything that I do, right? The half in energy is a no-go for me. It's like I don't want to be it. I don't want to be around. I don't want to feel that. So if I'm in my business, I'm like rock solid. Like this is it. This is happening no matter what. Through the achievements, but through the failures as well. Like we are all in for it, and my relationships and everything else in my life. So that is the first thing that for me creates the momentum and feel empowered in those decisions. Mm-hmm. And then there is a combination of, meditation that I do, journaling. It's one of my hugest like therapy, working out, and all and also a big thing as well is having a productivity plan, like actually being clear that I'm working my business these days, this day it's family day, this day is my day, and like knowing and doing that gives me that, certainty to show up.
How's your daily schedule looking like? Like an average day for you? How does it look? At what time do you wake up? What do you do? What habits or routines do you have in place? When do you work? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I have 2 different days, but mainly my day is waking up, early 6 o'clock, doing the run at house with the kids. And then I normally go to the beach quickly, do my journaling, my meditation, and then I do a workout, come home, and I start work about 10 o'clock in the morning. 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. Start working, and I work until 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then I'll go pick up the kids, go to the gym, and do my things,
Yeah, wow. What time do you go to bed? How many hours of sleep
do you usually get? And I go to bed around 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Talking a little bit about relationships, I'm curious to see, in your experience, from your observation, what does a man need to do in order to get the girl of his dreams, or almost like virtually whatever girl? Like, what does he needs to do? Well, because obviously you being a woman and listening, I'm guessing to women's experience, how can a man transform himself to really get any girls he wants?
I love that. That's so good. All right. So what I believe that I would recommend to someone is, to be close to a woman is so many things. So a woman, she's an emotional body, right? So I feel that for a man to open the emotional body, for instance, like there is this very interesting saying that, for a woman to be open for relationship and to have intimacy, a man just needs a place. A woman needs a reason. Yeah. So that is the thing. So a woman, she has some criteria that she needs to feel safe in a man. So she needs to feel seen, she needs to feel heard, and she needs to feel acknowledged, right? So when a man And when a man is step out of his mind, because a man is a lot of in the mind is linear, right? So when a man has a single goal, that's all that he can see. So he can't see anything else, or the holographic view. He doesn't have. So a woman very often she feels left out, or she feels that she has no space, and it's not in the big thing, in the big scale of like she needs to be probably, sometimes she doesn't need to be all the things, but when you take the little moments to pay attention to little things, that would mean the world for a woman. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes acknowledge the shoes or acknowledge the hair. Most of the men, they don't even notice that. It's just like, oh, another shoe, oh, another that. Like when you say about the hat, like that's unique when you acknowledge something. So like all of those things. And I always feel as well that, a lot of the men as well, what I notice in general, not everyone, but we all want to talk about ourselves, right? Like that's the human needs. Like we want to express. So I feel that when you are around a man or someone that actually is truly interested in you, and has the deep curiosity to know about you and to hear and be there, because all that a woman wants is to feel safe, to express, right? So she needs to see in the man that it's a safe space for her to actually open up and share and become the feminine that she can be, right?
That's so funny that you mentioned that. I was recently at a dinner and there was a guy and a girl on their first date. You could tell for a mile away that they were on the first date, and the dude was only talking about himself. We were like this distance. It's a Japanese restaurant, so we were very close to each other.
You could hear everything.
We could hear everything. He was talking about himself non-stop, and you could tell the guy by the way he was dressed and the stuff he had. Like he had a lot of money. Not like an athletic dude or anything. The girl was in that sense way above him. Like she was very beautiful and all this stuff, but in her body language, like you could tell this dude is getting nothing tonight. He's getting zero. And like it's so easy when you're out of the game to just see all the mistakes he was making, just talking about himself, not creating any mystery, not creating any interest. Like she was arms crossed, everything, legs crossed and pointing outwards. Like he was getting nothing. But yeah, it's very, very interesting watching it play, because then you're like, yeah, you shouldn't do that. Like even with client relationships and things like that, be listening, don't speak too much and all this stuff. If you had to give advice for men, what would be 3 things that you will tell them, like, hey, work on these things and you will be able to have successful dates or find love or whatever they're looking for right now?
Communication. Yeah, expand your communication. So learning, how to communicate with a woman and knowing what are the needs of a woman, what does she needs to feel safe, and to like when you know that, your approach is already different, right? You and I feel that a man as well, as you say, like there is the proof of like becoming, is the hero. Like you wanted to prove yourself that you are that, and that is okay, but there is a place to that. And I feel that once the woman, she surrendered to the man and she feels safe, the man will have space to show up as he is, and talk about himself. So I feel that the communication, to make a woman feel safe in your communication, that I feel that the biggest issues in relationships are communication. It's expressing your boundaries, expressing your desires, and not expressing from a place of taking ownership from whatever's happening in your world, right? Because we are so good in blaming, like, oh, you're not doing that, but you're not doing that, and how does it make you feel? Do you know what I mean? So talking from I perspective, like when you do that, it makes me feel this way. So I feel this way. And it's not like, oh, you make that and it looks like that. We're always so good in blaming or telling others. So yeah, that's huge.
You've been married for many years now. From your own relationship, what's the single most important thing that has kept the relationship alive all the time? How many years has it been?
12 years.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. By an amazing human being, by the way. Shout out to Daniel. So besides communication, what would you say has been like key ingredient for you guys to develop the relationship you have?
Share the same vision and the same values. Yeah, I think that is another thing that I feel that is really important. We sort of disconnected for some time when I was really into my business and I was really like driven and that's the only way and I'm going all in, and we disconnected. Yeah, for a while. And I felt that when we came back and we sat down and we are humble enough to no ego, like full honesty and vulnerable, we are able to say, all right, what's important to you? What do you want? What's your vision? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be in 10 years? And when we align the vision, that we say, all right, like maybe you take that road and I take this road, but we're going to end up in the same place. That's where we're going to be together. I think that brought us back into alignment again. Yeah.
Did one of you gave an ultimatum, or was it like, it just happens to be? How did it play out? Because I feel like there is always like a sort of like last, I forgot how they say it, la última gota que derramó el vaso, like...
See, the last call.
Like, yeah, like a defining moment happened that you were like, yeah, okay, we need to talk and figure this out, or we need to part ways. Like, what was that? How it happened?
Yeah. So, well, that was, I was having the conversation of like, I don't think this is working for this and that reason. And then eventually we came to agreement, and he came to agreement, which was the first time that he actually say, I actually think this is not working out. So in that time, as a woman, I was like, wow, freaking out. I'm like, oh, all right, this is actually real now. Like, what do you do? So it was such a beautiful time for me as a woman for so many things, but also to again see him as the masculine, as the man that actually provides so much, because I was so entangled in my vision that I couldn't see what I had. So it humbled me down to actually acknowledge what I had more. And another thing as well was really interesting was, that I kept bringing him to like, this is what I wanted from you as a man. Like I want to, a woman wants a man to lead. Yeah. A woman wants a man to say, I got it. This is the way, let's go. So for a woman like me, I would say, that I am quite strong and I lead a lot of women, like that is a space that we want to feel safe in. Like, all right, I lead all of these, but when I come here, you lead the way, right? But what I realized after we split up for a little while was like for a few days, was that I was asking that from him, but I wasn't leading the way. I wasn't showing him how I wanted to do. So it was like, I wanted this and this, and I would sit in my queen chair and say, all right, like, of course, this is not going to work. Already having that expectations that wouldn't work. And then I realized, what? I actually haven't done as well. Like I'm asking, but I haven't done myself. So I changed the perspective. Like, all right, let me show what I wanted to be done. Yeah, let me start taking some actions and actually do the things. And that changed it a lot. I think it brought us closer, and communication is the key, and we have been working in that a lot as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, that's one of like, I feel like it should be a given, like being a man, I'm in my own experience and own observation, like I've noticed that most men want that, being the leaders in the household and all these things. When it comes at least to, I guess, important decisions, when it comes to that type of thing, what kind of advice would you give? That we did it for men, right? Like now, what kind of advice would you give for women trying to find, the love of their lives or the ideal man that they've been looking for? Because I feel like there's a lot of almost like not great connection with what women expect to find. Most women, if you ask them, they want the really tall, strong dude, intelligent, successful, financially free, and all these things. And it's that when in reality, that's 1% of men. It's very difficult, unlikely that you will get one of those. So what kind of advice would you give to women in general when it comes to that?
Yeah, great question. So the first thing that I would suggest is getting clarity in actually every detail of what you desire in a man, in such a detail that is like, what would feel like to be with him? How would he communicate with you? Like every single little detail, you want to be clear, have this clear vision of the man that you want to attract. And then another thing is like, what are your standards? What do you stand for? Like, what's a yes, what's a no for you? Like, for instance, you say, I want a man that is vegan, that doesn't smoke, that doesn't drink, and you have your standards there. But what if you meet someone that it's vegan and doesn't smoke but drinks every now and then? Like, is it okay? And then you measure, like, from 0 to 10, like how okay am I with this? Because that was one of my standards. And then have your boundaries as well. Like, well, I'm going to find a man, but my boundaries is that I will still have time with my friends. I still going to work on my business. I'm still going to travel the world, whatever that is for you. What's your boundaries in relation to communication? What are the boundaries that you have? Because the more clear that you are, the more likely that, you're going to see that outside of you, that universe will then give you that, right? And a lot of the times, what I see in my friends is that because they don't know what they want, they have no idea. So when you don't know, anything will serve. Right? And then instead of taking you 2 years or how long to find it, it will take you 10, because you have to go through so many wrong ones to actually get clear in what actually it is that you want, right? So that is the first thing. And then the second one is, who do you need to become in order to attract that person, right? Because let's say, you want a man that is fit, that is vegan, but are you training every day? Like, are you looking after yourself? I want a man that communicates with me, that is open-hearted. Are you good in communication? Can you talk from your heart? So who do you need to become to be a match for that man that you want? Because I find so much, it's so interesting what I find is like, either man and woman, like they wanted this goddess and this, this man that is like the prince that comes on a white horse, like you say, but they don't take the time to do the work on themselves. I'm like, man, come on, or sometimes like I see, like whatever, I see like, a man like approaching a woman, and she's like super hot and like, he's like, I'm like, man, she works every day. Like you can see this, she looks after yourself. Like, at least you go out, go look after yourself. Like that is, I think that it's got to be a match, right? Like it's got to be a self-worth. Like I'm doing the work. I know that I'm worth receiving this. And that's all that is.
Exactly. Yeah. And like it's way easier if you spend the time leveling up yourself, like taking yourself to a better version to attract those people to you and attract those women to you than it is to actually just go out and hunt for them, right? Like to create that space for them to be like, you know what, that guy is interesting. That guy, I like hard workers. I like someone with, will provide stability, but it's also fit and this. You should just become that. That's it. I can guarantee you, if you are training consistently, you have you take care of your health in general, you eat pretty well, you drink lots of water, you get your sleep, you're active, you are consistently working on your mind, and then developing the way you talk, your vocabulary, you speak to smart people, you put yourself as a priority, you make money, you work on the things that you like working, that you will find a hot woman. Like it's not really that hard. Even looking at myself to like my own life. When I was young, I was very skinny. I was never one of the tallest. I never had money like lots of my friends. Like I couldn't provide that kind of experience to a girl and all this stuff. So it was very hard for me to be noticed. I felt like I was invisible for the longest time. And that's the reality for most men. Most men are invisible. But they can change that. That's the good thing about it. You can really change that if you want to and you commit to it. I just started working out. And that's the easiest fix as well that I've noticed. Start working out. If you're not doing it, start putting on some weight, developing some muscle. That will help a lot of different areas of your life, from discipline to, fitness, mind, relentless, all these things. As soon as I started doing that, I gave it a year, of just working on myself, working on what people will see of me, because first people will look at you physically, right? And as soon as I put on some muscle, I was looking a little bit bigger and all stuff, I started getting more attention. And more and more and more. And then I went to university and I committed to be one of the best students. Because in school, I was just completely average. Guess what? Women love smart dudes as well. So as soon as I started getting some of the best grades in my class, I started getting even more attention. And then I started doing interesting things like going on hikes, going on adventures, going on surfing, because it actually made me happy. Not because I was like, oh, this will make me more attractive. It just turned out to be one of the byproducts of it. I instantly became even more attractive because now, by then, I was athletic, I was fit, I was doing interesting things. I had a good circle of men around me. I was intelligent. And guess what? My options increased a ton just by working on myself. So it just takes time, right? But you can really do it. What are the simple tricks that you will give to a woman? If she's, let's say, a woman is going to a date. What and she's like, okay, give me everything I need to know right now to capture or get this man. What should she do?
Oh, that's juicy. That's a juicy question. So I feel, all right, what would I say? What would I tell a woman? I would tell her, what is the way that you would feel in your completely power? You know what I mean? What makes you feel in your glory? In a way that you feel sexy, that you fully honor your body, that you fully honor, the way that you walk, who you are. Because I feel that there is nothing more sexy than a confident woman, right? Like she walks, she knows, and she doesn't give a shit. Like, yes, this is it. Yes, yeah. So, I feel that what can she do to put herself in that state of like, all right, I know who I am. And as you say, it's always like, when you feel invisible, there is two ways that you can go. One, that can be your wound for the rest of your life, that you're like going to live by that and you're never going to show up because you already create that, or you're going to let that be your drive to actually become someone great. Yes. And so the thing is, how can you remind yourself of your greatness? How can you be your best cheerleader and say, well, I'm good at this, at this, at this. How can I feel my best to show up to this? Because when we are there, as you say, because I am all of this, I don't need you to validate me. Right? I know that I am this. Yeah. And then your validation will be just like a compliment. We're like, all right, that's really nice. But I also know that that's your perception of the world. It doesn't make me who I am, right? It's like, I know who I am. Like your perception of the world, it's nice. I like it, So that is the difference. Like, how can you build yourself to know who you are, that you just know. It's just in you. And then everywhere where you show up, everywhere that you walk into it, like every place, your energy is felt. It's like you're just there. And that's the ultimate, because and then it comes to all the other areas of your life. Like, you're not afraid of dressing up. You're not afraid of speaking up. You're not afraid of, be who you are. Yeah.
And what about like little things that she could do that are practical? Like practically, physically during that day? What can she do to make that man be more interested in her?
Yeah, well, she can, treat her as a queen, like, have a bath and really like, I feel that it's all those things. It's like, all right, how can I make this a ritual, right? How can I choose the best outfit that makes me feel so good about myself? Like every little thing that you pick and that you do for yourself is for you, but it's not for someone, but you go there with, I know how I'm walking to this, like I'm feeling good. I have spent time on myself. My routine has been like this. I've been working out. I'm eating healthy. I have such an amazing community. It's a compound effect that gets you to that state, right? And then on the days, like when you're having, let's say, a big meeting or, I don't know, you're going to speak on a big stage. It's like, it's all the rituals that you do to get you to that state, right? Like you do your hair, you go to a hairdresser, you choose a nice outfit. It's all of those things that when you get there, you're like, wow, I feel really good, right?
Yeah. Just before the podcast, we were talking about like sticky notes and things like that, how we both do them and, for affirmations and manifestation and things like that. And then you gave me a great idea of doing it almost like a timeline from your past, like in 2020 I accomplished this, and then putting a next one of 2021 what you did, so you can almost like visually track your progress and not feel like you're not getting overwhelmed by not being where you want to be. What kind of tips would you have for things like that, or even little routines that you have in your own personal life that help you a lot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is one of the things, is actually tracking your milestones. So when I set my vision for 2023, I break it in two steps. One is every quarter I will reassess my goals, like how much have I made, like in terms of my accomplishment, my vision, what is working, what's not working. So I reassess that. And I also set a marker to measure my milestones. So what have I accomplished in that time? And then, put in a little place in your house where you put the stick notes and you actually remind yourself of all the things. And another massive thing that I'm all in, that I do a lot, is celebration, right? Because when you celebrate, it puts you in a state of gratitude, and therefore imprints in your unconscious mind that that you're celebrating yourself, you're celebrating your win. Because very often when we have big goals and big visions, we always feel that we are on this race. We're rushing to get to the next and the next, and we don't take the time to actually imprint in our system that we actually are accomplishing things, that we are creating difference, and we are celebrating ourselves. So that is a massive, and it can be simple. It can be going to the beach. It can be, like buying yourself a coffee. It can be, it's that state of celebration. They can be huge things, like going for an amazing dinner, but it's like what makes you feel that you're celebrating yourself in that state. That is really important. And then another thing that I do, I also journal. Like I have like many journals, and I have some journals I have only like, I have high frequency journals that is like, I only celebrate things. So when I have milestones or big months, or, I journal on how I'm feeling in that moment. So like, wow, it feels so incredible. It was so effortless. Like I'm really activated. Like, like you just journal, because every time that you're facing a hardship, or a failure, you tune back to that. And that is like, wow, all right, I remember. So you become your own, your own compass to the direction that you're going. Yeah. So you come back to your own achievement, and you're like, all right, that's how I was feeling. That's what happened when I did that. Like, how can I plug back into that energy, to that vibe, so I can recreate that again?
What kind of advice would you give to a creative entrepreneur? Because this podcast is aiming to help creative entrepreneurs. So if you had to give 3 pieces of advice to really transform their life and accomplish anything they want to do, what will be those pieces of advice?
Beautiful. The first one would be to trust yourself. Trust your intuition, trust yourself, trust your work. That is huge, especially with so much noise going on outside. Number 2 is work on yourself. Keep upgrading, keep investing in yourself, keep studying, because, we are evolving beings. So there's always a next level of your evolution. So that is the third one. And the other one is create empty spaces in your life, spaces that you're actually not doing anything, just being, so you can receive your own wisdom. Yeah. Because I feel that, in our life right now, we are just so busy doing and creating and doing the things. And it's great. But the importance of actually not doing anything. And very often I always say to my clients, is like, when you go to bed, I know that happens to me a lot. When I go to bed and I just have this download of 1,000, ideas, and I'm like, oh my God, I just need to go to sleep. But that is because it's an empty space. You're not doing anything. So you open the space for your unconscious mind, for your guides, for everything, to actually send you those messages. And so if we can create more of that, it can be going for a walk with no agenda, just going for 200, or it might be 2K, or like I have no agenda. It's not an intention of working out it's just emptying my space. It's just open for new ideas and new things to come through.
Yeah, that's key. I have found as well, like having that time to think for yourself. It's so easy to not do it these days because we have too many distractions, and as soon as you're just sitting down and you have to wait for something, you start pulling your phone, you start going to social media, you start, you know, reading this, reading that, watching a video, whatever it is. So like booking that time with you to just think and almost detach for a second. I try to do that quite often, actually, to just detach for a minute and be like, okay, what's happening? Where am I going? Like, am I being distracted? Am I wasting time? And am I putting my attention to the wrong things? What am I trying to accomplish here? Oh yeah, remember, this is our purpose. This is our mission. This is the vision. This is where I'm heading to. This is why I'm doing it. You know, like finding that time to really listen to your own voice and be sure that you're on the right path, right? How to deal with losing? Because it's very easy in business, you know, to get bummed out or feel get I guess depressed or sad because you didn't get the client, or you know the sale didn't go as you expected, or you're making zero money this month, especially for entrepreneurs. Like, how can you deal with losing?
Yeah, well, I believe that every time that you fail at something is a lesson that you're here to learn, right? So, of course, when you're talking about financial struggles, it's real, right? If you're not making money for 3 months, like, wow, you got to leave, you know, you got. So I have an idea that I share with my clients, and is if you are struggling, if you are coming from a lack of, go find a job. And then we continue to work. Because when we're coming from a lack of survival, of fight or flight, it changes in so many levels, you know, your creativity, who you are, your frequency, and you're not coming from a place of fulfilling and love. You're coming from a lack. So that's the first thing. Sort it out your financial situation in this moment and be on a state that you can be in service. Because when you're following your purpose and your mission, the results are inevitable along the way. But when you're actually failing, or when you're not, you know, getting what you want, I would say, you know, shut down from everything else, first thing. Because very often you are comparing yourself to others, you know, what others are doing, how much they're making, what are they accomplishing. So, and then again, come back to everything that you have accomplished already. You know, look into your own life and say, well, I'm not making the 100K a month, but I'm making a lot more than I was doing 2 years ago. You know, I'm not in 1 million, but well, I'm close to 200, or whatever that is for you, you know, coming back to the sense of gratitude, because gratitude is what is going to help you to move forward a lot faster.
Yeah. Okay. What's your own personal financial goal? Like the ultimate goal?
Yeah, I'm going for multi-millions. Yeah.
What's multi-millions?
Multi-millions for me is, you know, above 5.
Above 5?
Yeah, 5 millions. And yeah, I'm not in a rush.
Yeah.
I'm on a marathon, you know. It's just like, all right, let's do this. And I'm willing to fail as well. I'm not afraid to fail. You know, I'm not afraid because I experience all the feelings, yes, of the failing, yes, I definitely do. But I also believe that, you know, I read so many autobiographies and everyone, and like, there is no one that is great that haven't failed so many times. You know what I mean? And that is the best stories that you actually hear. So I'm like, all right, like that's another failure. And I also feel that every time that I fail, it levels up my coaching and my experience, because I can teach my clients what to do and what not to do. So like if my launch was a fail, I'm like, all right, how can I readjust? You know, it was just one launch of many that I'm going to do. All right, so now I can teach them that as well. And Tony Robbins have a thing that he says, we all have our primary question. So when something doesn't work out for you, you have your primary question. So you got to be aware of what that is for you. You might be like, oh, why is this not working out for me again? Oh, why me again? You know, it can be a very negative, or you can say like, what's the lesson in this? You know, what am I here to learn? So like asking yourself those will take you from that, you know, like the pain or the suffering that we create and continue. Yeah.
If you had to guess, by when would you make above 5 million? When do you think would that be?
I feel that would be, I would say 5 years.
5 years from now. How old are you right now?
I'm turning 40 this year.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
If you had to give an advice to young Mariana, the 29-year-old Mariana, because I'm 29. So what will be if you have to boil it all down to one single thing that is going to be the most impactful throughout her life, and especially financially, what would that advice be?
Would be to combine, would be trust your intuition and learn sales and communication skills.
What's the biggest thing you have learned when it comes to sales?
I just think that sales is such an art to sell. That's how I see. You know, I come from a place where I used to hate being sold to, and I'm like, I thrive. I'm like, yes, I just love not the hard selling, but I feel there is different ways of selling. But I really love to see people expressing, you know, sharing their mission in a way of selling. So when you learn how to sell, that is such inner work itself, because you learn. What I see in my community of women is that they are so good in selling for others. They can sell whatever. They can sell anything. My programs, you know, products, everything. But when it comes to sell you, that's the next level. You know, that triggers so much. Your self-worth. I'm not capable. I'm not good enough. All the wounds that you have will come up. So once you learn how to sell, you're already 10 steps ahead. Yeah.
Yes, that is really good advice, actually. Yeah, I wish even like a few years ago, someone had told me like focus on learning how to sell. That is huge in order to succeed in life. If you had to give the final 3 pieces of advice for any creative entrepreneur, like practical things that they could start doing today in order to accomplish anything they want in life, what would those be?
Would be to get clear on your vision and get the first actionable steps that you can do right now in order to create your vision, and I would say invest on your learning. Yeah, expand your whatever area you don't feel so strong at right now.
Yes, completely support, especially the last one, investing in your learning, because even though most of the information is available on YouTube and Google and all these things, and it's free, it's very messy. So you're gonna waste a lot of time. Whereas if you pay someone, they'll present a package for you, everything organized, and step-by-step guide will save you tons of pain and time.
Yeah, and that's when you invest in someone that has paved the way before you and have made the mistakes and the failures, so you don't need to make the same.
Yes.
Right? So you're getting a shortcut in a way from someone that has already done it and has created what you want. You know, like, all right, like this. And and then I feel that on that journey, you also take what serves you, and then you bring your own intuition and you create your special mix, and that becomes you.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Mariana, thank you so much for coming to The Creative Grid. Where can people find you, and what kind of even services do you have right now offering?
Yeah, great. People can find me on Instagram as Mariana Lennert _ or Facebook as well, Mariana Lennert. I got my website and all the things in there. Right now I'm offering a group program for women that are already in business and they're looking to scale their business into like really solid offer and, communication and all of those things that we have been talking here today. So that is a 6 months journey with me. And I also offer one-on-one mentorship for women. I used to facilitate retreats. This year I'm having a break of the retreats, but they'll be back soon. So yeah. Right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, if you were to transform a total loser, someone that is literally completely lost, has no purpose, no vision, no mission, unathletic, bad habits, gets rejected by everyone, can't sell, what would you do for that person? What could you tell him? And let's say you had the opportunity to mentor them. How long will it take you to transform that person?
Wow, that's huge. My intuition is that normally I offer 6 months, but my intuition is telling me on that case, I would say a year. Yeah. But I would start, with that person, I would start with the basic, like go and do your bed every day, go in and find a routine, like get a sport and work on your mindset and all the basic stuff that it needs to create a solid foundation for anything else.
Yeah. Awesome. Guys, I hope you got some value out of this episode. I certainly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming in, Mariana. Make sure to follow us at The Creative Grid on every social platform. Subscribe, share it with someone. Reach out and let us know that you enjoyed the episode. If that was the case, you can follow me at Nelfalife on Instagram and every social platform. And I'll see you on the next episode. Goodbyes for everyone.
Bye.